Welcome everybody to Papapreneur Show. This is season number 2, and we're keeping our promise of changing the paradigm of fatherhood one interview at a time. This podcast is produced by Family Filmmaker. And we are here. Welcome everyone to episode number 13, season 2, here at Papapreneur Show. So a couple of good announcements. This is actually the last episode of the year, right? So if you have questions about parenting, about how to put a podcast together, about everything and anything, feel free to drop a line. We have a live chat that is going on right now. So if you are tuning in live, then just go ahead. Don't be shy. The other thing, if you're catching this as a replay, you can find us in Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it. Every platform, we try to be in many places as possible. So you are, we are available to you, so you can choose which platform to see. And then we're also going to be on YouTube, on the Family Filmmaker YouTube channel. Now, if you're new here, please consider subscribing, because every week we bring very interesting messages and tips and tricks on parenting, also about a little bit about entrepreneurship and whatnot. My name is Ivan Perdomo, and I am the proud content creator of this podcast, which is brought to you by Family Filmmaker, our video production company. So as I was mentioning at the beginning, we are receiving messages from all over the world about the job that we're doing here. And it's actually, it's pretty interesting, because at the beginning of this show, we thought we were the only ones having, issues and questions and whatnot. And you start discovering that the issues are very common. So it's only a matter of bringing them forward and start the conversation. On that regard, I would like to introduce our guest for the evening, because he is somebody that's holding the key to some pretty interesting tricks. And when I say tricks, I'm not talking about a circus or anything or a magician. I'm thinking about how to close or make a smaller gap between what we think here as parents and what our kids are thinking or even feeling. So the first time I spent some time with our guest, chatting over Zoom and whatnot, I found out that he basically decided to put out there ways to start conversations with our kids, even though the conversations can be like, the tough ones, the tough topics and whatnot. So without further ado, I would like to bring our guest tonight, Randy Quansah. Oh, my goodness, Quansah. Hey, Randy, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you doing, Ivan?
Very good. I'm excited to have you here. Welcome to the show. And I'm sorry that I mispronounced your last name, because I've always called you Randy. Now that I saw your last name on the screen, I was like, oh.
No, hey, I've been called far worse. It was actually bang on. Quansah is perfect. Yeah.
All right. So Randy has Nigerian heritage, and he comes from Montreal. Did I get right?
Yeah, I'm half Nigerian and half Ghanaian.
Oh man! So you're
Yeah.
you're from all over the world, and then you
All
speak
over.
French and English and un poquito
Yeah.
español.
Poquito español.
So before we start into our subject, how come you speak Spanish? Share that with our viewers.
Oh boy. Okay, so I took Spanish for a semester when I was in college. Yo fui una clase un semestre a universidad.
Yeah, there you go. You see, so this is a man of many hats and many talents. So that's one of the reasons I am so happy that the networking actually works. The first time that I heard about Randy was not about his social media or anything. It was just more like a common friend that we have. And he said,
Absolutely.
hey, you know what? I think Randy and Ivan should connect. So a couple of weeks forward, here we are. Welcome to the show. How's your day so far?
It's been good. How have you been? I appreciate being on your show. It's been amazing. Thank you, man. It's an honor.
Yeah, well, and actually, I already started getting feedback on actually just the promo, just because of the way that you perform the invitation on the promo. You're getting kudos from here, from Calgary, and other places in the planet. So
Hey, I take it. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for allowing me to have this platform to talk and share and network with other parents and share our strengths and our weaknesses and our trials and tribulations, right? So I'm looking forward to it.
well, yeah, and it was not a breezy day, because I read your messages that you were taking care of your little girl right before the show, so you made it on time. So thank you for that. And I also had a quite a share of being busy. Actually, I have another show back to back after we're done with this one, so I'll tell you guys more about that a little bit later down the show. So in the meantime, Randy, and just to share with our viewers, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Kujo's Kid Zone and the genesis, the origin of this idea?
Okay. So I was always that like cool uncle. Okay. I was the uncle, like, oh my God, Uncle Randy's coming. It's gonna be a big mess because we're gonna do science projects. And I was that guy, right? So um, about a year and a half ago, I was hanging out with my brother and my daughter in Edmonton, and they were watching like kids unwrap gifts, and they're watching some really, really silly channels and things on YouTube. And my brother kind of jokingly with me was like, you could totally do something like this, right? And I didn't think anything of it, right? And then I thought to myself, okay, maybe if I have like my phone, I can have some kind of a harness to see myself doing some like science experiments and put it on YouTube, right? So then I talked with a friend of mine, my business partner, and she was like, this is far bigger than what you think it is. So we sat down, we plotted, we came up with a logo, we came up with the concept. And as you had stated earlier before, I'm half Ghanaian and half Nigerian, right? So I wanted to pay homage to my African ancestry. I figured, your gal, Dora the Explorer, is representing for the Central and South American people. I
Yeah.
said, we need to have something to represent for the African and Caribbean people too, right? So that brought me to start thinking. So we were plotting and we're thinking, and I'm like, there's a real lack of diversity when it comes to early childhood education. And there's a real lack of diversity in terms of having a male presence, you know? So that in itself really led me down the rabbit hole. And I started thinking, I said, wait, when was the last time I saw somebody that looked like me? And I'm like, LeVar Burton reading Rainbow. That was some 20 something odd years ago,
Yeah.
right? There hasn't really been a main principal person since. So I said, I'm onto something, and especially in a time and age where, there's people come from various backgrounds. It's nice to see people that kind of look like you, because it makes it easier to identify. You're like, oh, wow, okay, this person kind of looks like me. They share some maybe common values, or even if they don't look like me, it's like, this is interesting. I want to learn more about what this person has to offer or share.
Yeah.
So anyhow, so Kujo, the name Kujo is somebody born on a Monday. So in the Ghanaian culture, they name their children by the days of the week, right? So, you hear that gentleman from the UN called Kofi Annan. I hear the name Kofi, and automatically I know that's somebody born on a Friday, right?
Oh.
Yeah, same thing like Kobe Bryant, right? Rest his soul. If his parents followed tradition, Kobe is actually short for Kwabena, and that's somebody that's born on a Tuesday, right? So I said, what an excellent way. So I myself, I'm born on a Monday, so I'm Kujo, right? And then I also said, okay, I need a way of interacting with kids and have maybe some guest appearances. So then we created puppets, and shout out to Kim Bacedo, who created the puppets. that are taken care of and voiced by Kim Chill and Ellis Lalonde. And it's Kwaku and Adjoa. And Kwaku and Adjoa are an African gray parrot and also an owl. So an owl kind of represents like the overarching view of wisdom. And the parrot is actually based loosely on my parents' African gray parrot, which is a really sassy parrot that is just full of spunk and energy.
Asking the right
So
questions.
asking the right questions or asking the wrong questions and biting you to make you pay for it. Real story. So we created the concept. We sought out to do 3 pilot episodes. We came up with their first pilot episode in February, and I'm thinking, okay, there's a lot of content that doesn't have any educational value. When I come up with my content, it's gonna go viral. It has to, right? It didn't. I learned the reality of the matter is that those occasions that happen are very extremely rare. And when you want to grow your base, it starts at a grassroots level, and you have to continually spoke and feed the fire, right?
And playing the long
And
game, right? The long
it's a
haul.
long game, right? And actually, to be honest with you, I really appreciate it because if it would have happened so quickly, I wouldn't have appreciated all of the viewers and all of the support that I've been getting within the community, right? At all. I would have taken it for granted. I value each and every single person that views the show, like legitimately, right? And it's because I've had to fight so hard in terms of maintaining a relationship with them and coming up with quality content
Mm-hmm.
and making sure that their needs are met, right? So it's been really humbling and really interesting. So we came with the pilot episode, and then Corona and COVID hit. And I know COVID has been terrible for a lot of people, but it's been the best thing for me, right? It's been awesome
So
because
because
my
you have a
audience,
captive audience, right?
exactly, they're not going anywhere, and they need to entertain their children, and they need to find ways of connecting with their children. And this is what my show is all about. I created the show because I wanted to come up with educational content in an entertaining way. Because you know how it is, Ivan, as a parent, you wake up in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning. You even before that, what am I talking about? 9 o'clock. You're at work at 9 o'clock. You're
Yeah,
up at 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning. Okay,
I
let's
was
not
gonna
kid
say
ourselves,
yeah.
right? Right? So then you take your kids, you drop them off at daycare, you come home. Before you come home, you got to pick up your kids. You pick up groceries. If your kids are involved in extracurricular activities, you drop them off. Girl Scouts, drop them off. Timmy hockey or whatever it is. And by the time they get home, it's like, hey, is everything cool? Was your day good? Yeah. Okay. Eat this. Go to sleep. Bye. And then the cycle continues, and it's even worse on the weekend because then you have games and practices
Yeah,
and
pretty
all
much
these
the
coaches.
routine.
Yeah. So then these coaches and teachers have a better grip and understanding on your kids than you do. And the feeling of guilt you have as a parent is like, oh, okay, I'm setting up my children to have better opportunities than I did.
Mm-hmm.
So this is okay. Your kid is desperately wanting to have a relationship with you, and your window of making an impact is so limited that if you don't jump onto these small nuggets of opportunities to establish that relationship, and as you as the subject matter expert,
Mm-hmm.
they're going to get this information from their friends who don't know any better,
Elsewhere.
or they're going to, or elsewhere, right? So while you have them in front of you, I created these episodes on purpose, not to be the end all be all, but to be like, let this be the beginning of starting a conversation.
I love it.
Let this be the beginning of reestablishing our relationship. You
Mm-hmm.
don't even have to think about it. The episodes are there. You want stuff around the house you can do. I understand it's Corona and COVID and everything that's going on. People are going through adjustments with their finances and their budgeting. These are everyday items you can use around the house, right? That you don't have to buy and spend an exorbitant amount of money. And then through this, you have this bonding with your child again. And it's like, mommy and daddy, why is this chemical reaction happening? And you're like, I don't know. Let's find out together, right?
Exactly.
Let's
Yeah.
find out together.
Let's do a
And that
project.
in itself, yeah, that in itself, it's fun. It's bonding with your kids. And then, when it comes to the more serious issues of social justice, we had covered Black Lives Matter, we had covered Pride, we had covered Orange Shirt Day. And I always take it because I'm a parent. I'm a host, but I'm always a parent first, and I take that responsibility very extremely seriously.
Mm.
So I always think about it from the perspective of how am I going to have this conversation with my daughter at a surface level, so that way she kind of understands what's going on without necessarily getting exposed to all of the ugly truth. But it's the beginning of conversation that can lead and build into more serious conversations as she matures in age. And I know if I feel like this, that other parents are feeling like this too.
Mm-hmm.
So, thus the reason for a lot of the content and the subjects that go along with it. And to make sure that I'm saying the right things as I'm doing my research, I got a program advisory board of like psychologists,
I
early
was gonna
childhood
ask you about that.
educators,
Yeah.
yeah, early childhood educators, psychologists, social workers, to make sure that, hey, Randy, you're saying the right thing, or hey, what you're saying is out of pocket. You need to adjust what you're saying. And so they keep me in line to make sure that the script writing that I'm having is authentic, and up to date with what's happening currently, right? In terms of terms and terminologies, right? So, yeah, that's essentially the kind of the genesis. And when I did a press release after the Black Lives Matter episode, parents came to me like, I thank you so much. I had no idea how I was going to talk about my children to my
Mm.
children about this subject. And then also, I had encouraged parents like, hey, what are you going to do after these protests are happening? How are you going to continue this dialogue with your kids? Or even how are you going to educate yourself? Right. And it was phenomenal, the reception. We did a press release, and then that went viral. Right. We got CTV coverage, CBC, global. We had radio
And we're
stations.
talking mid-pandemic. We're talking like June 2020.
June, like boom, right through it. Like
Mm-hmm.
it went viral all over the place across Canada, right? Um, and then it led to opportunities, right? So then I was getting approached by the Calgary International Film Festival. They're like, Randy, we want you to do the opening monologue for the family affair package. And I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. I can do that. And then Cadoodle TV, they're like, listen, we want to have you on our platform with other um, childhood educators that are looking to educate children, and big names, Lego, Paw Patrol. I'm sharing the same platform with them, and I'm like,
And
yeah,
the reputation is based in high quality content that is moderated and curated especially for kids. So
absolutely. And shown in 140 different countries around the world, over 100 million views on a monthly basis. And like you said, it's one of those platforms that ensures that your kids are watching legitimate programming, and there's no subliminal messages happening in the background, right? So,
yeah.
yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And we did a Kickstarter campaign. We raised over 10 grand for it. And right now, we're just applying for different grants and funding and continuing to write and move forward. And I'm on cloud nine. This is it's such a blessing,
So
when you do this
this has
thing.
to be
Yeah.
said because just the grants application is a full-time job on itself. So I'm really glad that you have like a board of advisors, and then you have the puppeteers, and then you have the voice talent. So you have a very big crew working, hand in hand together.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's and then it's also Ivan, like people like yourself, like that give people like me like the platform to even share my truth, because at the end of the day, we're all parents, we're all struggling to, as much as everybody pretends to know the yes, this is the way, it's the only way. Nobody knows
Yeah,
the
like the
answer.
Mandalorian. This is the way.
Yeah, nobody knows. Everybody is trying to navigate and stick handle, and our world is forever evolving and changing. And the beauty of this show and this program is that at the very spirit of this whole movement, it's that it's a community-based movement that's really looking to build the global ambassadors of tomorrow, and we'll all have a part in this, right? Because
Yeah.
kids come in, they ask me questions, their parents videotape it, they have their answers. It's bonding with the kids and their parents at home. And it's a whole community movement. It's unlike anything that I've ever been a part of in my life. And it's extremely touching and humbling to see this unfold in front of me. And there's been ups, downs, and all around, but it's a beautiful thing, and it just shows me how much support as parents we need. Like, listen, the way that you were raised, Ivan, the way I was raised from your parents, there's some things that were absolutely fantastic. There's other things that were questionable, right? Now we're in the role of being parents ourselves, and it's like, okay, well, can you do any better?
Yeah,
And
what are we keeping and what are we, disregarding, and then what's our input? What are our 2 cents? And I'm gonna take a little bit on one of the subjects that you've touched, and
absolutely,
this is one thing, and we always discuss this in the show. When there is a situation out there that you don't see a solution for, it's time for you to become a creator, a provider of a solution, right? So if we
absolutely,
all think that we're in the middle of, self-doubt and whatnot, and we start thinking, hey, I haven't seen a community that does provide a solution for this. Look at what Randy just created. In the blink of an eye, like a period of shy 1 year, because we're in December, so you're not even 1 year old with the project, right? Probably, I don't know, maybe conception took a little bit longer before February, but let's call it one
yeah,
year, right? So
yeah,
when you are in the midst of an issue, you have two options. You can try and solve it for yourself, or you can try and make a difference out there. And this is one of the principles under which Papapreneur Show runs. So I'm so happy that we bump into each other thanks to Michael Manzano, one of our
correct,
common
absolutely,
friends. He
yeah,
actually he like thank you, Mike. Thanks for the introduction.
absolutely, thank
And
you.
the other thing above that one, or besides that one, is this. You mentioned, and I'm gonna try to quote you on this, the time frame, the time window that you have to make an impact in your child's life is very short.
Absolutely.
And it's a twofold. It's just on a daily basis, depending on your own routine, and also in their lifespan, because their lifespan is going to be like, yes, this is my hero, my dad's my hero, or my mom is my
Yeah.
hero. And then I believe that fades out a little bit until they kind of mature. Like when they're teenagers, they think they know everything, and like we just did as kids. And
Yeah.
then at some point they're gonna come back to their senses and say, oh, my dad was right. So those two windows of opportunity are in your hands as a parent, and I'm sharing
Yeah.
this with all of our viewers because I know some of the viewers have grown-up kids, and they are even like grandparents and whatnot, so they can
Yeah.
speak about that. And the other thing is, when my wife and I became parents 6 years ago or something, we just made a decision of transforming our breadwinning stuff, because there were too many activities running parallel. We just decided to stay at home so that window of opportunity could be wider and bigger. Now,
Absolutely.
we do face challenges as business owners or self-employees, because then we don't have the certainty of going into a 9 to 5. So my question for you, Randy, is how or when did you decide to leap between your I believe your background is in human resources, am I right? And then
Yeah.
now you're in the middle of this humongous project that, as your friend or business partner said, realize, Randy, this is something way bigger than you anticipated. So
Absolutely.
why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, great. Well, that's a great question, and that's a twofold. First thing first, you had mentioned earlier that, if you see something that you want to change, that you have to be the catalyst to change it. My background is not in acting. I'm not an actor. I'm an HR guy. Okay. Um, and when I stumbled onto this, if I have to be completely honest, the first episode that I filmed, um, I cried myself to sleep because I'm like, I'm not meant for this. This is terrible. Okay. I'm a terrible actor. Okay.
uh,
And over time, as I learned the business and I became a little bit more comfortable in front of the camera, um, it got better. And when you start something, it's not going to necessarily be a smooth road to success. There's going to be bumps and challenges along the way. And but if you do see something, a lot of times it's really funny because people are like, oh, somebody else will step in, somebody else will intervene. Why can't you intervene? Right? Honestly,
yeah.
right? Why can't you intervene? Right? And that goes with so many things in life, right? You know, John F. Kennedy said, be the change in which you want to see, right? Don't ask what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
Straight up. So that leads into the decision in terms of going into self-employment and entrepreneurship. There is absolutely it's absolutely nice to have steady income coming in, having RSP and benefits and all of that stuff. But what you have to understand is that you're working for somebody else
Hmm.
on their time, and you're fulfilling somebody else's dream. It's not your
Absolutely.
dream.
Yeah.
I'm in HR, and I'm going to tell you, and to be honest with you, and if you're really honest with yourself, you're going to see it too. They sell you on this idea of team and culture, and you sacrifice the time with your family, with your friends, into putting everything at work. Okay.
Hmm.
But then what happens when things get tough? Instead of the CEO and the managers taking a cut to their paycheck, they would rather lay you off. But what about this whole idea? I thought we were family. I
We're a
thought this is
team.
a family culture, right?
Yeah.
You get laid off, and what do they say? Oh, it's just business, right? It's just
Yeah.
business, right? When I miss Tommy or Allison's or John's hockey practice or game because you wanted me to stay overtime for work, we were a family then. But now when I really need you, you were so quick to lay me off. Now it's just business, right? So when you work for yourself, you have the opportunity of fulfilling your dream, right? And we all have dreams. But one thing that inhibits us from continuing with our dream is fear, right? It's like, oh, it can never happen, or doubt,
Uncertainty.
uncertainty. And then if you listen to what other people say, it's even compiled even more to create more fear and uncertainty because those individuals never took the leap of faith into fulfilling their own dreams.
So
So they
you're
would
saying
rather,
that you need not to listen to those that have not fulfilled their dreams if you have the intention to take a leap.
absolutely. And it's not just haters of people that are jealous of, this is your own
No,
family and your friends.
it's the mindset and the frame by which you were framed when you were learning, right?
Absolutely. I call it the Matrix. Okay. In the Matrix, we are conditioned to think that okay, you go to school, you get a job, you're in that job forever. You have 2.5 kids. You have a picket fence. You have a beautiful husband or wife, whatever that looks like for you, and everything is fine and dandy. We know the reality of the matter is that people change jobs and change careers over the course of their life. It
Yeah.
happens. Businesses open and close and merge and things change. So you have to have the ability of adapting to things, right? A lot of times there are individuals that it's like, no, I've been an engineer, I got laid off, I'm an engineer, or I'm a project manager. My grandfather is a project manager, I'm a project manager, right? You have to adapt and you have to change. But everybody has dreams, right? And dreams are you don't hold on, you hold on to them, and you have to have faith. And faith is believing in things that have not yet come.
Hmm.
It's winter right now. We're in the season of winter, and everywhere is snow. I don't see snow when it comes to my dreams. I see the summertime. I see a different season that has already happened. You don't see it, but I see it, and I know, and I have my faith and my intentions. My whole focus is on a different season that is here.
Now, is that
You
the
don't
way
see
out
it.
of the matrix?
Out of the matrix. Come out of the matrix. Get out. Your dreams that you believe in are worthy enough for you to take seriously. And um, my father used to always say, nothing dies, only the dreamer, right? And the biggest place that has the biggest dreams that are unfulfilled is a graveyard, you know? So you have a dream, you believe in something, you hold on tight to it, and you put in all of your efforts. And when it comes to this particular dream of uh, being a top draw when it comes to early childhood education and taking care of our youth and empowering them, is either one of two situations that are happening. Either I'm going to be very extremely successful in doing it, or I'm going to be homeless. And either way, I'm cool with the situation because I believe in what I'm doing so much that I'm cool with either situation that transpires. And that's the kind of faith that you have to have. You have to have an unwavering faith.
But now it sounds like something that I would like to pursue until I come to my senses and I say, "Hey, I have two little ones. I'm not gonna let them, go through stuff because
Yeah.
I'm chasing a dream of mine." So sometimes we just turn our own dreams down or off because of that fear, and the fear will not affect only our decisions, but it's also uh, for their sake. I don't know if that makes sense at all. It's like I will not incur in those things because I don't know what the outcome is going to be. For much faith that I can have in what we're doing, then what if I cannot be a provider for them?
This is what I say to that. You you take it in steps, right? Like if you're working, let's say at a job, okay, do your job. When you come home, work on your project. Don't watch Netflix. Don't watch The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. Focus on starting to establish your concept, your dream. When it starts to grow and becomes bigger, and when it comes to a point where you can be self-sufficient or you feel comfortable in doing so, okay, jump and take the leap of faith. If you need ways of financing something, look at grants, look at Kickstarters, right? I'm running this company on a shoestring budget. I'm not balling out of control just yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But you get creative in terms of finding ways to survive, right? Um, and there's always going to be life circumstances. I'm doing this. I'm in the middle of a divorce. I'm in the worst economic time in the world, but it is what it is. You got to do what you have to do, and you will find a way.
exactly.
And when I don't know, whatever people believe,
Mhm.
you want to believe in God or not, or whatever that looks like for you. But when you're on the path to your dream, you're gonna see doors open and people from the east, the west, the north, the south come to you. I never met Ivan a day in my life until a couple of weeks ago, and Ivan's cool people. And look at me. I'm blessed to be on his show to talk and share my truth with you and share and brainstorm, right? When you're doing something, people come and grab it. It's like Charlotte's Web. They come into your web and
Absolutely.
they stay there and they help you and you help them. The whole purpose of this life is to help people on their journey, and people are helping you on your journey and helping people fulfill their destiny, right? And we as parents have this huge responsibility of helping our children reach their destiny, and find out their passion, not the passion that we have for ourselves,
Hmm.
but for helping them discover what they're passionate about so they can fulfill their own dreams. And along the way in this journey, we as parents, we were coming together as a tribe and sharing different tricks and tools and what was successful for us so we can help other parents in their journey as well. It's a journey. This is a journey, this life thing. It's a journey.
So I guess what's on our side, on our favor, is the fact that we are into a new type of society. So before it was the Industrial Revolution, they invented machines and whatnot. Absolutely. After that, it was the information era. So the information was king. Now it's more like the knowledge society.
Absolutely.
So knowledge applied to technology makes this kind of conversation possible, because as you said, 2 weeks ago, we didn't know each other, right? And then we started chatting, and we started finding common grounds, and we started, noticing that parenting is a very strong placeholder in our lives to pour contents into, and not only for the sake of our own kids, but more like for the greater good, if you will, and not looking at necessarily from a naive perspective of, we're going to change the world, but actually taking specific steps. Like if we don't see content that is worth it, let's create it. If we don't see a network that connects in this and this and that aspects of parenthood, let's do it. So I really think things happen for a reason, right? So before we go any further, because I have so many other questions for you, but for the sake of time, we need to hit on our midsection of the show, which is the rapid fire questions. So Are you up for the challenge?
Let's do it.
All right. By the way, before we start, if you guys have questions, just write them in the box below, in the chat box below, and we will pop them for Randy to answer. And let me just bring my graphic here. Oh, where are the graphics now? Graphics. This is live TV. Here. Yeah. So we are in episode. Yeah, this is episode 13. Papapreneur Show Season 2 with Randy Quansah from Kujo's Kids Zone. You ready, Randy?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. So what are you obsessed about?
Outside of my show? Boxing. I love boxing.
Right on. I didn't know that. Yeah, so Kujo's Kids Zone and boxing.
Ivan Calderon.
Fantastic Ivan Calderon. Boxing. Yeah.
Come on, man. Come on.
Right on. So, question number 2. What is your happy place?
Being in the gym.
Now it makes sense. I've seen a little bit of that in your Facebook timeline.
Yes. Being in the gym is nice, just to release stress. It's good.
All right. Question number 3. You already touched a little bit upon that. So, do you have kids? What are their ages and whatnot?
I have a beautiful, intelligent daughter. She's 4.5, and her name is Olivia.
Olivia. Hi, Olivia, when you're watching the show. Hi. Now, easy one on the rapid fire question section. What's the furthest away you've been from your hometown, and why?
Traveling. I went to Ghana to see my family.
Oh, that's pretty much around the corner, isn't it?
Wow.
Visit, yeah. Ghana. How many flights to be there?
It took 2 flights. We had to fly to Amsterdam, then we had to fly from Amsterdam to Ghana.
Wow. Right on. So next question is, at your place, your home, your household, we all have this eternal debate. It doesn't matter where we are in the planet. This is about toilet paper.
Boy.
At your place,
yeah,
is the paper towel like hanging like this, like from the top or from below, and why?
Oh, wow. Okay. Mine is from the top because it's just easier. I just pull it and it's
I'm on that team too.
I'm not. People that do this underhand stuff, there's so many negative connotations. They're underhanded, you know. It's just an extension of their personality. They do underhanded stuff.
Well, they say as you do one thing is how you do everything, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, you already touched a little bit upon this subject before, but this is a twofold question. And number one is being a dad
Yes.
and an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Is there anything you regret from, something that you have missed out from being a father because you're an entrepreneur?
I wish I would have started this journey earlier. You know, your whole life you're taught to follow a particular path, and you're always a square peg in a round hole. And the trick and what they never tell you is that you are more than adequate and you're more than fine. And when you start things yourself, you then have the piece that fits in perfectly. And that's what happened to me. I would have started this journey earlier. I'm upset at myself for not trusting in myself and believing in myself earlier. That's my only regret.
Wow, great answer. Thank you for sharing. And now, conversely, is there anything that you have missed from being an entrepreneur because you were busy just being a dad?
Not really, because you can make the argument and say that you could spend more time with focusing on company things, but the time you spend with your family, what price tag can you put on that, right? So I miss an hour in with my child to spend an hour in there's always something. You know what it is. As an entrepreneur, there's always something to do with your company. It never stops.
Absolutely. Right? It's on us to stop the clock at some point in the day.
Yeah. And it's really about finding that balance, and spending time with my daughter brings it centers me, and it gives me a balance, and it brings me joy. Everything, it's like time stops when I hang out with my daughter. So it's a beautiful thing. So I don't regret it at all.
Nice, nicely said. Now we're almost at the end of the section. I have like two more questions for you. And yes. What's the single thing that you cannot go to the next day without doing?
Oh, taking a shower.
Well, that's important. That's important.
Hygiene is important. You don't want to be that stinky person that just stinks up the whole place.
I used to live on a Caribbean island, and I used to shower like 3 times a day. It was pretty much right below 40 degrees Celsius. So you better have showers and showers and showers.
Yeah. Maybe brushing teeth. Maybe brushing teeth too. Brushing teeth too. Maybe brushing teeth might even. That's a toss up.
Yeah, right on. Now, can you name from the top of your mind your 5 best friends? It doesn't matter if they're from childhood or grown-ups. Like,
oh, you can't do that to me, man. There's gonna be people that are gonna come and lynch me.
All right, so we need like a red button. I think I'm gonna buy like a red button here, like American Got Talent. So.
5 friends, my best friends. Oh my god!
All time friends.
All-time friends.
Yeah, that's a tough one, eh?
Okay. Oh, that's tough because there's so many people that have made an impact at different stages of my life. You know what I mean? In no particular order. Amit Lal. He's been my childhood friend from day one. We grew up a block away from each other. Mike Manzano has been absolutely phenomenal to me since I came to Calgary. He's a great guy. He's an awesome guy. Charlene Ferguson has been always awesome. She's one of my day one people. Yandy Martelli has also been phenomenal to me. And so that's 4. Oh man, this is tough. Top 5. God. In no particular order, okay?
Yeah, well, that will be a hard answer for me to answer if somebody asks me.
There's gonna be people gonna kill me, they're gonna lynch me. Like, I'm not your friend, I'm not your top 5, I'm not your top 5. Yeah, I would yeah, top five, and then also my you know what? Okay, I'm gonna play it safe. Donna has been phenomenal. She's been a huge anchor in terms of belief and always having my back. I would say Donna. Donna is one of my also my good friends too as well.
All right, you're passing the test with honors. So, last question. We're gonna be shifting gears here, and this is a question to reflect upon.
Yeah.
Because you've shared already a little bit on what's your vision of the world and how we need to make an impact. So,
yeah,
this is the last question on the rapid fire questions for you, Randy. How do you want to be remembered when you're no longer here?
I would like to be remembered as somebody that cared for people, that loved people, and wanted to make a difference in the world and leave the world a little bit better than what it was given to me as. But more importantly than that, it's my daughter. If my daughter can, once that dirt comes on my grave, can say that my dad was a good man and he loved me and he loved the world and people, that means more to me than any opinion of anybody else.
Right on. Thank you. Great answer. And I'm going to improvise one more for the road. What's your take on unconditional love?
Oh, that's a tough man. Unconditional love is biting your teeth, holding your tongue, in order to let the lesson play out. Right now, I know with my daughter, it's all fun and games. There's times where you have to be firm, but I know that as time goes on, the way I teach is going to be very different, and there's going to be times where you have to hold back and you can't jump in. You have to let the lesson play out. You have to let the lesson stink, right? And that's unconditional love, in my opinion. It's like the good, the bad, the ugly, and especially during the ugly, sometimes you just have to be like a hovering ghost, It's like,
Being there
I
and
want
not
to
being
jump
there.
in. I want to jump in, but I got to let this lesson play out because you got to learn this lesson, right? And
Wow.
that's love. That's unconditional love. Good, the bad, the ugly. They're gonna make mistakes. They're gonna make some great things, but that's the unconditional love. You got to be there.
2 episodes ago, I had my father coming to the show as a guest.
Oh, wow,
And
cool.
on that interview, some, truths came to the conversation on
Yeah.
things that maybe he taught me about it like years ago, but now that I connect the dots, he was doing exactly what you're saying. He was like, well, he's going to crash. He's seeing, he's watching, he knows I'm going to crash, and he's like, hold, don't say anything. Until I boom against a brick wall, and I never connected those dots. It has to do with unconditional love. Like it's not all castles and birds up in the air.
Yeah.
It's not all the nice stories. So thank you for sharing that. I really appreciate the insights. I told you I want to hang out with you when this COVID
Yeah,
thing is over.
absolutely.
But now that I know a little bit more about you, I invite everyone watching Papapreneur Show to know more about this initiative, Kujo's Kids Zone, because this is Randy today, but normally he goes into character when he's talking to the kids, to the children,
Absolutely.
and he transforms, this all of these conversations and all of these topics into stuff that we can actually bring forward to start conversations with our kids. So subjects that are not easy to swallow, as I was saying during the promo of the show, and from a perspective that is really, really like very first, how do we call it the other day? Like first grade kind of vocabulary. So it's really easy to understand. So I am super happy of how the conversation is going today. I still have to ask you if you have any like a launching that is upcoming, or if you're gonna like cut the year for Kujos and then start a new season. So what do you have, behind the curtains that you want to share with us?
Okay, so there's a couple of things. We are working on revamping our brand to have a 2.0 version of it. And we're gearing up for Black History Month in February. We have a Quansah episode coming out this Monday. And
What's a
still
Quansah episode? Are you gonna bring family members?
Oh, so Kwanzaa is like my last name, but Kwanzaa is an actual like celebration, right? It
Oh, I didn't
happens
know that.
from Yeah, it happens from you got to watch the episode then.
Yeah.
So it happens from December 26th to January 1st, right? And it was actually cool. This is going to be the first year, in all honesty, that I'm going to be celebrating Kwanzaa, and I'm really looking forward to it. So I got all this information about it, and I wanted to share with other parents because you hear sometimes people mention Happy Hanukkah, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, and I've always heard it growing up, but I've never really like dived in and looked into it. And I figured that it'd be an excellent opportunity to share this kind of holiday with other people as well. So we're going to be releasing that episode on Monday. It's going to be a beautiful episode about the origins and how to celebrate Kwanzaa. And we're going to be doing some mentorship with Shaw in the upcoming months.
Mentorship for kids?
Well, mentorship in terms of like helping us grow and fix a lot of our blind spots, right? So looking forward to
Nice.
that. January 2nd, there's going to be something that you will read about, and I can't say anything more because my hands are tied, but it's going to be very cool, and I'm very proud of it, but it's going to happen on January 2nd, and when you read about it, it's going to be pretty cool, and I'm very proud of that. And also, I've been voting for Natasha Pennycook by Black.com. She's an amazing counselor. And I've been voting for her and encouraging other people to vote for her. So that way she can be voted for one of the best counselors in Canada. She's been doing phenomenal work. So I'm helping her with that particular campaign. And in the meantime, just enjoying this, getting ready, buying rather presents for my daughter, doing some Armageddon shopping, right?
Armageddon shopping.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and then just connecting with like-minded people like yourself, Ivan. So, yeah, that's been what I've been up to.
Wow, 20
And,
like next year it's a full one, so it's going to be at full swing. You have a lot of things going on.
Yeah, we have more episodes on YouTube. We have more episodes coming out on Kadoodle TV. So, a lot of good things happening.
So how often can people expect a new episode?
Typically every Monday we release a new episode, but we've been taking it a little bit easy with the whole holidays.
Mm-hmm.
And of course the lockdown restrictions make it a little bit more difficult, right? But in February, we're going to come back full swing. We're going to release an episode every single Monday. And then on Kadoodle TV, we have season 1 and season 2 that people can watch about the different social justice issues and science projects that they can do around the house, elephant toothpaste and sinking and floating and all of that good stuff that they can look forward to watching and enjoying with their
Nice.
children. Yeah.
You know what I just envisioned while I hear you talking about Kujo's Kid Zone. I actually dream or visualize putting together a live, well, not a live show, a show with live audience. Like imagine shooting the episodes with a bunch of kids there, looking straight into the action, and with the parents there so they can see how everything develops. It doesn't need to be, like the full show thing, because of course there's some editing and you need to put the graphics and all of that. But imagine expanding your brand into a live audience show. Wouldn't that be great?
Oh, that'd be very cool. And I understand that you might be the man to be able to do it. I understand you have your production company and your expertise. So
That will be amazing. Yeah.
we'll have to get together and politic.
Yeah, well, I also I always like to join good causes, and I think you guys have put a lot of thought into the concept, a lot of thought into how to bring a positive message. Um, Scratching the surface on topics that are going to be easier then for the parents to reach out to their kids, hearts and minds, and all of the questions that they have, because they are just a full box of questions, like never ending questions. And Olivia is only 4.5, so maybe when she's 5 and 5.5 and 6 and 7, then the questions are going to grow as she grows old, right?
Absolutely. And I very much appreciate shows like yourself, and I don't think you give yourself enough credit for real, because the biggest misconception is when you turn 18 or 21 and you're an adult, you know everything, and that's the big lie. You know, we're just scratching the surface, and it's important that parents can feel comfortable and vulnerable enough to be like, I don't know everything and I want to know more, and providing a safe space in order to have these kind of conversations. I know myself, my parents growing up, it's like you don't show weakness, you don't talk about things that are happening in the house. Everything's hush hush. And I think this is really cool and really important, especially with this generation coming up, that we have these sensitive conversations, and as us as parents uh, feel okay to talk in a safe space and be vulnerable enough to be open to listen to other parents, and gather information from other parents in order to help us succeed as parents, right? Because it's ongoing learning. Our kids are learning, but we're also learning as well, right? So yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So yeah, I've learned a couple of lessons from you. One of the first ones up in the conversation was, not because you're creating content it's just magically going to boom into a viral content. So maybe that's an avenue we can discuss further and see, because normally what happens is after the show is done, I get so many questions in my head going on, so we have to have this conversation keep going. So you guys can reach out to Randy. You can go to his YouTube channel. It's on the screen, Kujo's Kids Zone. So if you Google that, it's gonna throw you probably to social media, like on YouTube. They are very big on YouTube. They also have some smaller presence on Instagram as well. But I believe the best channel to reach you is through YouTube, correct?
Yes, and it's very important that you put Kujo's Kids Zone. There's a Mexican rapper named Kujo that's out in the States. Awesome rapper, but he's not me.
Let me see if I can bring your graphic, like your logo, because I had it ready for the promo, so it must be somewhere in my computer. I'm just gonna grab it very quickly so people can it's easier to remember, like an image, right? So I have it here, episode 13. Could it be this one? Yeah, I think I got it. Oh, too big. so yeah,
Yes.
this is where we're gonna be looking when you go into a Google search, and then on YouTube you're gonna look at this logo, and then yeah, Kujo's Kids Zone, not the Mexican
Not the
rapper.
rapper. He's nice though. He's good. But he's not me.
Hey, greetings to Jorge. Greetings to Lina Acacio. Lina is my mom and the fan number 1 of the show.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, normally like she's there every time, and I was trying to put the comments on the top of the screen, but I basically got carried away with the conversation and I kind of forget to do it. But greetings for all the people that are tuning in from Calgary here, especially. Go pay a visit to Randy's YouTube channel. It's gonna be a lot of good content. By the way, Jorge's just tuning in right now. Jorge gave me an idea on some sketches that we can film on video with the kids, because he's also a father of little kids. He has 2 boys. So yeah, we have a bunch of talented people here in town. So let's use our connections and
Let's collaborate. Let's do it. That's what we
yeah,
wait.
the good vibes. I believe the good vibes are the most important driver to make things happen. So Randy, an entire hour has gone by. Do you have any final, 10 seconds message before we wrap it up?
Thank you very much for having me. Please support the Papapreneur Show for bringing on individuals like myself and other parents that have inquisitive mindset. So I would ask everybody else to continue to watch your show and support. And like always, Kujo's Kid Zone, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Kadoodle TV. And watch out for some great things. And looking forward to connecting with all of you at some point in the future. So
terrific. Thanks a lot for being with us today, Randy. It's been a real pleasure. And for the rest of you, thanks a lot for hanging out for an entire hour here with us at Papapreneur Season 2. I have to remind you, this is the last episode of 2020. We are going to be taking 2 weeks off, mainly because Christmas in my home country in Venezuela, we celebrated on the 24th. So I'm not going to be here on Thursday next week because I'm going to be celebrating Christmas. And also, the end of the year celebration, it's also another Thursday. So those are the two reasons why I'm not going to be hanging out with you guys, because I'm going to be here with my family amidst this all craziness on all the COVID restrictions, all the COVID related restrictions. Now, please remember this email that you're reading on the screen, podcast@familyfilmmaker.ca, is there for a reason. So we can be there for you with our video production company, Family Filmmaker, and we can build amazing stories together. If you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, if you have a startup, we can get together and we can discuss some options to have your brand out there and tell your story. Don't believe for 1 second that your story is a common one. I'm really sure if we take a little bit of a chat, we're going to find extraordinary things to tell your customers about. And that's the way that they're going to engage and connect with you. We can do that both in English and Spanish. And maybe because Randy is a polyglot and he speaks like 3 languages or 4 languages, he can also help me with French because I don't speak French. But anyhow, going back to the topic, Family Filmmaker, you can reach out at podcast@familyfilmmaker.ca. If you are starting up a project for a podcast or a show or a web series or interviews and whatnot, also please drop us a line and we can start the conversation. Thanks again, and I wish you happy holidays, all the success for the next year, and I will see you guys on the first week of January with our next episode of Papapreneur Show, brought to you by Family Filmmaker. See you guys.